for varying positions of the Harbor Commission or the Harbor related commission. We're going to first start with Paul Hebert or Herbert, sorry.
Hebert.
I was right.
There's no R after the.
There is on mine. So
Is it?
if,
Thank you.
please, if you could make sure that microphone is on and you would do that, so the switch where the stand is,
Yep.
should
Is it
be
up?
on the up position.
Yep, it is.
Perfect. And we can hear you.
Thank you.
So first, Paul, welcome. Thank you
Thank
for taking a moment. And thank you for your interest in the position. If you could please tell this council why you're interested in the position and also why you think you'd be a good fit for it.
I'm 60 years old. I retired from DEM, State of Rhode Island, approximately 3 years ago. Through my career, almost 27 years under the director's office. I lived on Prudence Island and I managed all of our state land there. And then the last 6 years of my career, I went down to the state beaches down in South County. I was second in command. I was responsible for 5 state beaches in a campground, and it was very hectic. So I have a lot of experience with people, big project. On the side, I'm on 2 board of directors over on Hog Island. I'm on the board of directors of the water department, and we're in the midst of organizing the fire department now. So I think why I'd be good with my experience, I've been a shellfisherman most of my life on the side. One of my best friends is a dock builder, Mount Hope Dock Works, and I think I could be an asset to the harbor.
From what you've told us, you sure you have any time to do it?
I do. I do have time. I do. I am retired.
Doesn't sound that way, but
I
go
know.
ahead.
But
Colleagues?
Actually, I do have a question. I noticed you checked off both the harbor and the aquaculture.
yes,
So either one would.
I would prefer the actual harbor commission, but I understand normal procedure. You got to go for the farm team first, and then the big boys. So
We do typically go that way, yes. Yeah.
that would make sense. So I would take either one. I'd be happy.
Certainly appreciate you being interested.
It would help. Yeah, certainly we appreciate your interest.
Thank you.
Thanks, Paul, for being here today, and thanks everybody else for taking the time. I was wondering, what are some of the biggest future challenges that you think face a body like the Harbor Commission?
Well, I'm hearing, I see you're putting in the fuel docks, which is a pretty big project. And I've heard, and as we all know, that they're going to expand the slips, and I would very much like to be part of that. I think I could be a huge asset to that. And the whole concept of downtown needs to be managed well.
Could you expand on that a bit?
Well, I think as you draw more people, even more slips and more, it's become like a mini Newport. And I think traffic is going to be an issue. If it's not already, I think parking is an issue. It's something that we, as leaders, we need to look into this and have a long-term plan.
Thank you, Paul. Appreciate you stepping up to the plate and get back to the community. I want to expand on what you're talking about with the parking. My colleagues, myself, each one of us have always mentioned it. Customer service is going to be key down there when that marina expands. And like you said, when we're getting the increased traffic to the fuel station and to the docks and everything else, what do you feel is the best way to handle that and to make sure that, hey, when you leave Bristol, you're going to come back? It was a good experience, and that's what we all want here.
That's a big question. The short answer, safety first, of course. I mean, we don't want anyone getting hurt. As you get more people in Bristol downtown, it's going to be an issue. I don't know the answer. I'm sorry, but safety is definitely most important to me.
Mhm.
I don't know the solution. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I just,
Anyone else?
Just follow up with that just briefly. Thank you for applying, and you had an interesting career with DEM,
Yeah, I did.
and especially with the state beaches and certainly Prudence Island. I guess some of it, and maybe it didn't impact you, probably did. I guess some of what Tim's question and what your point is too, you've seen that growth, I would imagine, over in
yeah.
Prudence
Yes, I
as
did.
it's become more and more of a tourist destination, more and more people going over there and staying in the weekends. We certainly have had to address the parking throughout downtown just for that reason.
Right.
Because everybody's looking for their free spot for a weekend or a week or whatever.
Mhm.
So what did you do in terms of the management of the land to make sure it didn't get overrun on Prudence?
It was limited because the ferry controls everything. So that was a kind of a good thing because with the cars and everything. But we had limited space on our small state beach over there. We had, I mean, everything increased, of course, over time with traffic, people using the park, the state park, the north end, the south end. Then I was also responsible for Dutch Island, Hope Island, Patience Island, and people are a problem when you have too many. There's no doubt about it, and it just takes a good.
Truer words have never been spoken, sir.
Spend a weekend at the state beaches, and it's you just have to manage it. It's I don't know what many meetings and good minds are I think are key.
Really collaboration with all the different parties that we do to make sure everything stays
As best we could, yeah, more summer kids, more help, more enforcement. I mean, all the, yeah, it's all part of it. And
Anything else from the council? No. Paul, any questions for us at the moment?
no, I'm all set.
Thank you again for taking the time.
Thank you. Do I need to wait or can I go?
You can go.
I was gonna go see Brian Rem's.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Did.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Michael, let me see if I can do the last name here. Tamulates? Tamulates. I like yours better. Go ahead. Welcome.
The great thing about second and third. is
Yeah,
that
you hear the questions.
Yeah, there it is. There it is. So tell us a little bit about yourself, if you would. Obviously, we have your resume in front of us.
Yeah,
And why you think you'd be a good fit, please.
sure. So about myself, I've just been on the water my whole life since I was a kid and grew up down in Florida. So boats and being on the water, dealing with the harbors and facilities around them have been part of my life since I was tiny. I used to sleep in a sunfish, believe it or not, at the city dock in Naples, Florida for a little bit of time with my friends. And it's just the whole water rat thing started very young. Another thing about me is that I don't like complaining about things I don't try and do something about. And so if I'm living here, I've been here about 20 years or so. And I've been busy working. Now I'm hoping to slow down a little bit. And I want to get involved in the community a little bit more from a decision-making point of view. And I think I have a lot of experience from a lot of different areas, not necessarily from here. I don't have the DEM stuff. I mean, he's very, very experienced in that level, but lots of experience with boats and working with different people and trying to make things happen properly and improve things that you see, again, working with a group of people rather than just complaining. So I'm just trying to see what I can do on that level.
So talk to us about your experience. What's important to you when you're going into a foreign harbor or something that you're not familiar with? What do you look for, and what would you, from your experiences, how would you apply that to being on the Harbor Commission?
Sure. So one of the things that I've done my whole career is marketing and sales. And so if I'm coming into a new place, it's really handy to know what channel the harbor master's on. It's really to be available, have your information proudly displayed in the local port book, that type of thing, where when you're coming here, you're not looking for help immediately. You just, hey, this is who I have to contact. I mean, even a floating buoy out in the harbor that says harbor master on channel, whatever.
Whatever.
it's silly, but it really works, and
Yeah.
it's really helpful for people. So along those lines of creating a more usable, maybe more friendly harbor for Bristol, that I think it could go a long ways in that regard. You know, I don't build docks, but I talk to people a lot. I can figure out what they need and work with, again, whoever's around and in charge to try and say, hey, look, this might work a little bit better if we communicate this way. You know, maybe there's a little more outpouring through social media, who knows? But when someone comes up into this harbor, especially when it's blowing out of the south at 15, they need to know what's going on already. You can't come in and go, oh, I'm in trouble now, you know, and then it's a packed harbor with a tiny channel, right? So I think that's a big key that I would love to bring to it. The other side of it is we always talk about downtown Bristol, and I'm from the Kiki. So I'm Steve's replacement. we need a little more help up there. So it's I definitely see that is a part of town that isn't always a part of town. And I just want to make it more so that way.
I'm glad that you said that. This council will speak constantly about the east side of town, and we'll talk about, there's a lot of focus downtown, and there should be.
Yeah, sure.
It is our front door, right? It's what people think of Bristol. But everyone is part of Bristol. And we talk about those parks. We talk about the Kiki. I actually used to live on Everett Street, 43.
That's
Everett
where I
Street.
live,
Yeah,
51.
so I saw that.
Yep.
So you're right. That's not a fault of the Harbor Commission, but it is something that we could improve upon, is more focus on the Kiki.
Sure, and that, again, no fault here. I think it's fantastic. We have street end access in almost every street. Warren has lost that decades ago. My
Thank
wife
our
is from
forefathers for
Twisted.
that one.
Yeah, so I mean, again, just a, hey, how can we make things a little better? You know, maybe be a voice from that area. Also, maybe have a little representation when the people come in for hurricanes and stuff like that, working with the harbor master and whatever, because it's a huge place that people go when they need to get out of trouble. So it'd be nice to have that representation. I will say a super positive thing is that there's pump out boats. You know, when you can just put a flag up and have a boat come from the harbor and pump you, I mean, that's crazy good. So I mean, there's very good positive things as well.
Colleagues?
Quick question. First of all, I get a kick out of the fact that you've done the Florida thing in reverse.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
can't stand Florida.
I mean, you started there, and mostly everybody retires
I
there.
turned 18 and I had yeah.
I mean, you know, you're from there and you're here now. Well, that's great. That's awesome. But so I guess I know that's amazing. That's amazing. I don't know. Eventually,
What is another 30 to become a
Is that your-
Bristolian or something?
No, I was gonna say, is that your retirement? Like, is when you retire, your destination back to Florida? The great tax deal or whatever. I guess when you said, you know, you want to be part of the solution, you don't want to just complain about something. I mean, you've touched on a couple of things with the Kiki and so forth. Are there anything in particular that automatically that you'd like to see changed or that you've been frustrated with?
The street ends at up at the Kikamila. I think we need it, and it's gotten better. At some point, someone voted and paid for granite pillars to go into place, and that's been great. So now that the local people can say, we can't park there, that's an access point. You know, we can police it a lot better because those are there. That was a fantastic idea. There's access points that people let stuff grow over. I'm not going to go out there with my chainsaw and get arrested by it. And you know, there's just, again, little things that are improvement. I think that's a part of Bristol. I mean, we're a great town. I mean, we just want to improve whenever we can. I think everyone wants to improve a little bit. And then as far as downtown, I think just working with you said it right, the whole new dock situation and the gas dock, what we're trying to create, you know, it's pretty cool. And it's going to need a lot of people to make some good decisions to do it well, you know, to do it really well. You know, take the time, do the right thing, but also it's going to be a lot of people get to go through, and I just love to be a part of it.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I'll jump in. Mike, your resume is very, very impressive. I mean, clearly you're interviewing for the right committee. You've literally been to US, Europe, Hong Kong, you've raced, you've gone to a lot of different marinas, trying to get your perspective. This marina is huge for Bristol and the Bristol people because it's going to be a huge economic engine. It's going to bring a lot of people in. And you've touched on connection of the Kiki, which I think is fantastic. I agree with, because sometimes that we've been so focused on the marina, but this question is focusing directly on the marina. What, besides customer service, based on all your experience at all the marinas that you've gone to, what are the first things we need to nail down and get right, right off the bat to make sure that we are successful? I know Paul touched on parking. We know that, and we know that's important, but what else?
Again, information of what's available as it becomes available, right?
Mhm,
What
information?
what
Yep.
is going to be, there's also a massive list, I understand, of people that are going to move right in. And I know from talking about with different people that there's also we really are trying to open up for transients as well with different docks. The challenge for Bristol Harbor, almost the only harbor in the bay this way, is that it's open to the south. So the dock has to stop the waves from getting inside the dock. So whatever that outside dock is, whoever's building it,
Yeah.
constructing it, approving it, whatever, there has to be a wave attenuation that really, really works and doesn't break. I mean, you can go down to the docks now and you just see what's happening right at the harbor
I saw
master's
it.
office. So that's a key. Once you get that sorted,
Yeah.
slips are gonna get filled, rents are gonna get paid. It's, it's all about collection and maintenance. And then I just think it's maintenance. It's making sure the docks are maintained each year very well so that they don't get behind. I think that's a really, really important thing. You have to maintain your facilities or you're gonna get behind and then it's impossible to catch up. And we're trying to catch up with roads.
Yeah.
We saw in Portsmouth, the road just washes out. Well, you can't plan on that. So
Right.
let's make sure everything else is all set to go. Can't plan on hurricanes. So let's make sure we're prepared for it.
Exactly.
That type of thing. But I think that, again, working with a lot of good people to make a lot of good decisions, I think is really what's going to come down to what I bring to it is seeing docs from all over the place, different ideas, different thought processes. And I think that would be a pretty useful avenue to have or an opinion to have.
And I liked how you touched on maintenance because I think it's key.
It's just key.
I mean, if you don't,
especially
it's 3
software.
times the cost if you just let it go.
Yeah.
You're staying on it, and we're definitely incorporating that into the plan for sure.
And the budget for that. I mean,
Yeah.
whatever the budget process is, I haven't been involved in that so far, but it's the big chunk is 2 years from now, we're gonna have to replace a bunch of cleats,
Right.
whatever that stuff is. So just
Right.
working on that with other people involved.
Excellent. Thank you.
Michael, I liked a lot of what you said about the east side, right? Some of that area around Sherman, Everett, that type of area. And I just remember when COVID-19 hit, it became such an important area to my family and I. We live right off of Mason Farm. And so we would spend a lot of time going down to the water because we were quarantined or like there was some school wasn't in, or, we used that area as places to bring our boys to have them learn a little bit more about the water, about where we live and everything like that. I had talked to one of the other, or I had asked the other candidate about, his thoughts on some of the challenges of that might face a board like the Harbor Commission. How about the east side? Does the east side present any special types of challenges based upon your experience with living there?
Just the only thing is, I think, just making sure we're getting representation. People are talking it up. I mean, the Sherman Avenue, whatever you want to call it at the end, has been like that since I've been here. It shouldn't be like that. That's just a small thing, but I know there's talk about doing stuff downtown at the beach, is some sort of a Portuguese type beach or whatever. Boy, that'd be a fantastic thing to have where people can safely get in and out of the water. Each street end, by the way, doesn't have complete water access. Some have walls. I get that, but they're still accessible to viewing, to seeing things. It's safe to walk to, and look at from the wall. But the places that are open need to be open and safe for taking a canoe down or taking a walk down without it changing every storm and whatever. And I think that would be one of the key issues that would be fun to try and tackle, as part of the Harbor Commission. I think it's happening in town as well. I don't live in town, so that's my, where I would be representative from. But I've heard some really great things about what maybe be happening down here, and maybe some of that happens up there, and maybe we designate what each individual end's supposed to be. And that will make it safe for everybody. Kids will be able to access it. People can go sailing and boating. That's a much safer place to go boating and sailing for kids and small boats than downtown and, the bay here. So I think there's a lot that area can offer people visiting the town as well.
Of course. Question. You mentioned, and I kind of know this, but I'm not a boater.
Mhm.
I know I live in Bristol, but you mentioned the Kickamuit and the safe, I guess, safe harbor from hurricanes. Is that correct? Or
Yeah,
where places
it's a
would
safe
go
place to
safer,
be,
yeah.
Right, if you can't get your boat out of the water or
Right,
get out of
right,
Dodge.
Right, and
it's a
I
good
kind
place to
of,
go.
know that. Is there something that do most boaters already know that, like people who are in the area, or is it something that needs to be promoted more? Is there need to be something done there where this is where do we need to add like temporary
It's a good-
space or
good
whatever?
question. Basically, what will happen is most of the boats that come in, the people stay on board. It's not going to be a direct Category 3 hurricane type thing. So like when Henri was coming, we had Fleming started colloquially, but Fleming 50s and 60s and 70-foot boats that barely fit in the channel. So they already have to know what's going on, or they're not going to be able to get in. I think it's always worth talking about what your best opportunities are for your town. I mean, that is a definite opportunity. Most of the marine people know about, but not everybody. And I think, there could definitely be some more promotion of that a little bit. There could be maybe a couple storm warnings put in that are insured properly for someone that just gets stuck, and it could be the hero.
So what did you call
Like
them?
a storm mooring, an overbuilt mooring.
Storm
that-
mooring, okay.
That the town owns. We own moorings downtown. We don't own any moorings out there. I don't know. I don't think so. But, somewhere where a townsperson can put their boat where it's safer, because the harbor is not the right place in certain conditions.
I think that's a really, I mean, I would guess that people would know that to some degree,
To
because
some degree.
I even sort of knew that that's a safer place, but I definitely think that was a really interesting comment and something to look at along the list of things that you were looking at on the commute. So that's
Yeah.
awesome. Thank you.
And the other thing, it's mostly for transients, for people that I'm in Newport anchored in front of the Idlewild Yacht Club. This is not where I want to be. Where do I go? They have to ask someone there, and they may say the Kickapoo, or they may not,
Oh, so the people would be, so you're even thinking of people coming from other places, not
That's where
just
they come
out,
from.
not,
No,
oh,
not
so they weren't
just-
just out in
yeah,
our harbor.
No, they're definitely
Oh.
coming up from Newport.
Oh, wow, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, Newport's not a great place on earth.
Yeah, oh, very interesting.
Anything
Well,
else?
thank you.
Yeah, just a brief question. Well, first of all, thank you for applying.
Sure.
Obviously, being from the other side of town, no, I'm just kidding.
I
No,
often say I'm from the northeast of town. It's like, what, 3 miles?
Right. Do you find that there is an issue with parking there as folks try to access that area in there? Is parking
It's
an
open
issue at
parking.
all?
We don't
It
have
has-
permits parking, so everyone can park on the side of the roads. They're not allowed to park in
Right,
the street ends, but where everyone there is very generous about people unloading or loading up a skiff or their kids or whatever, to get to the water. But it's wide open.
right. So you have not seen that to be an issue?
Oh, I'm
then?
sure people complain about it all the time, but
All
no,
right.
it's not. There
Right, right.
is no issue. You can park everywhere,
So, thank you.
except the street ends. And it's
Mm,
definitely
right.
kept open, which is great.
Anything else? Anything for us, Michael, before you go?
Thanks for the opportunity. It's great. It's great to talk to you guys, and yeah, I hope you get involved.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Jeff.
Good to see you.
Bob. Or I should say Robert Hamill. Do I have to say it, or can you just launch right in? So
Do you have any questions?
why do you think
Oh.
you'd be a good fit?
Well, I've been on and off the Harbor Commission since about 1990. I've been on the Harbor Commission, wrote the original harbor management plan. We did a lot of the updates. I've been involved in pretty much all the things that have happened since I joined in 1990 with the transient moorings, the transient docks, the Maritime Center. Seen the transition from the old harbor master to the new harbor master. And I think I have a good relationship with most of the different user groups on the harbor. We've got the yacht club, which I've been with for 40-something years. I know most of the commercial fishermen from my relationship with them on the Harbor Commission and around and about the docks. And then some of the recreational people, because I have a recreational slip, I have a mooring, and I've gotten to know everybody from being on the commission. So one of the skills that I think I've had is bringing all the different user groups together to try to get consensus, because everybody has their own agenda. The fishermen think they should have free parking, they should have everything set up for them. The recreational people want everything set up for them, and the yacht club wants everything that we want too. So I think it's been nice using some of my professional skills, bringing the different user groups together whenever there's been a conflict. For example, the State Street Pier, there was a move afoot to put some commercial slips in there and recreational slips in there, and became dedicated just for the fishing. And I think it's been a very good move because that's a real important part of the economy of town. But it brings in tourists too. If you go down State Street dock in the morning, you see people taking pictures of all the fishermen doing their catch, and they're spending money in the restaurant. So I think that the State Street Pier was a great idea. The transient docks scared some of the commercial fishermen because they said, where are we going to put our boats? And that was put to rest by giving them the State Street Pier. So there's been some ongoing strife between all the different user groups over the years. And one of the things I think I have done well is kind of get people to iron out their differences. Questions?
Colleagues.
Oh, so I've been on the advisory board.
Whoa, hey, well, hold on, hold on. Go ahead.
Been on the advisory board for a while, and I can give lots of opinions, and I have lots of opinions, but I understand there's an opening for a member on the Harbor Commission Advisory Board. Again, I'd like to get back on and have a vote, not just an opinion. Yeah, it's the alternate.
Right.
You know, for people who go to Florida, sometimes it's tough getting a consensus for votes.
Thank
I'll
you.
jump-
Colleagues.
I'll jump right
Go
in. Robert, thank you for all your past service on the harbor. So appreciate that. And thank you again for stepping back up to the plate here. I just wanted to get back to all the user groups that you were just talking about. I think it's pretty great that you're able to have all these kind of connections to all these user groups. So how do you tell me a little bit about negotiation and how you get these user groups on board with the new marina or any sort of situation that we may have at the harbor? What's sort of your thinking on reaching out to all of them and getting them all on board? Do you have a
Sometimes you
point?
gotta whack people over the head with a 2x4, just
Okay.
with the obvious stuff. But when there's conflict, for example, when the Maritime Center was going to be built,
Yep.
a lot of people thought, well, this is going to create confusion. People are going to just flood the town. There's going to be no parking. Those of us with recreational slips won't have any place to park. And then a couple of us would say, well, listen, we need it. It's going to bring business into the town. It's an important resource. I don't know, I can't think of any specifics to answer
I
your
think,
question, Tim.
I don't think maybe I gave you a good question. I think what I'm trying to get is find out your communication style in regards to communicating to all the different user groups. Do you have, you talked about the commercial fishermen, you talked about the different groups in town, like the yacht club. And
Yeah.
do you pick up the phone? Do you call them? Do you
No.
go to different groups? How do you hear and know? And because I think that's going to be extremely valuable when we get this pushing to open this marina, that we're hearing and listening all types of sides and understanding what the best approach is moving forward. It's going to be the key to our success.
Right. So I don't call people up, but all these different user groups are represented on the Harbor Commission.
Yeah.
And when we're doing battle and yelling back and forth over what should be done, what shouldn't be done, oftentimes I'm able to get people to see a common good with some give and take, like with State Street Dock, State Street Pier. The recreational people are willing to give that up to get some transient spaces, and it's not like I'm doing the negotiations myself, but I can
Yep.
just point out the obvious, and somebody might say, "Oh, yeah."
Thank you.
On a related note, can you just explain to me, I mean, I just in general, how all the various marinas, if you will, for lack of a better term, work together? Like saying that in the eye of the storm, we're going to have the hurricane. So you've got the yacht club, you've got Bristol Marine, you've got Harrijoff, you've got the town. You guys are all in contact. I know you're all in contact, that people are looking for a place to dock. Is that right as well?
Well, people use Greg Marzilli as a point of contact, and everybody will help everybody else. Like when the docks come out at the end of the year, the yacht club helps out the town, Bristol Marine helps out the yacht, everybody helps each other without having to ask. But Greg is pretty much the point of contact for any type of emergency situation. He's the point of contact.
So there's not, I mean, there's plenty to go around. There's not a lot of competition between all those groups as far as getting docks, getting the boats into be at my dock versus your dock.
Oh, no. There's more business than anybody can handle.
Okay.
Bristol Marine's got too much. The town has a waiting list. People have more business than they want, which is nice.
Yeah, right. Thank you.
I mean,
You know, we've got 1,000 moorings, so we're pretty much equal to Jamestown when it comes to the harbor. Jamestown has about 1,000 moorings. We have about 1,000. Jamestown got the East Ferry and the West Ferry at Dutch Harbor. We've got the Kiki, we've got Main Harbor, and we've got down the Highlands. So we've got, it's a real similar situation.
Bob, comparing, I know you do quite a bit of traveling, you know, with your boat. So with that being said, how would you compare Bristol to some of those other marinas that you've had the opportunity to stop and dock in?
We're much better than we used to be. We used to be kind of hostile a long time ago, and we kicked people out. But the gentleman who was talking before me was talking about how when you come into the harbor, you want to know where to go. And having just a little buoy that says call Harbor Master on channel 16, which you could do anyway. That's kind of a standard operating procedure for any harbor master. But to let people know where things are, we've got all this money invested in the Maritime Center. And I'm sure everybody's been down there. It's beautiful. It's a state-of-the-art facility, but it's so underutilized because people coming into town don't know where the hell it is. There's no sign on it that says Maritime Center, Harbor Master's office. Come on in, you know, welcome. So that's something that we need to address and get people to understand where it is, how to get there, and what's there.
You saying when they come into town in a car or in a boat?
On a boat, that's what it
That's what I
is for
thought you meant.
boaters.
Make sure when you said come
And you
into
want a
town.
sign out there that says, this is Maritime Center. I've talked to friends of mine who come in for 4th of July, and a lot of people come in and I'll say, have you been to the Maritime Center? Well, where is it? Well, it's across the harbor, the building that looks like a castle. Oh, what's in there? And they, well, just go look at it, you know, it's beautiful. But it's hard to know it's there if you're not from here. It's a beautiful, beautiful setup.
Keep going.
So we do need a sign on the Maritime Center, and I know Greg's going to work on that.
Anything else from the council? Has been brought up a few times is that the focus on transient dock space is not only for visitors from other communities, but it's also for visitors of this community. So if you live on the Kiki side or your boat's on the Kiki side, it's a great opportunity to bring your boat downtown
Yeah.
and be able to stay overnight downtown. So
I'm
it's-
downtown. I spent last night on the Kiki just to get away.
that also works. We're open to both. So there's nothing else from the council. Anything from you, Bob, before we part ways?
No, thanks.
No. Thank you for taking
Okay,
the time.
thank you, folks. See you later.
Okay, so we are going to take a 5 minutes recess and we will start again at 7 o'clock. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Waiting for 7, sorry. Thank you. Okay, everyone. Welcome to the Bristol Town Council meeting of September 8th, 2021. If you could all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Welcome. We started at 6:15 with interviews, but this is our regular meeting at 7 o'clock. Madam Clerk.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, first item of business is the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
There's a motion made by Tim, seconded by Mary to approve. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to pull GG3. It's not a big item, but just a little. So GG3.
Any discussion on that? Anybody have an issue with that?
No issue.
Okay, hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. We'll take that up at the end of the meeting.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is the submission of minutes from the town council meeting of August 18, 2021.
Motion to approve the previous minutes.
Second.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Tony to approve. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. We're going to add, or actually propose an addition for an agenda item made by Councilman Lay. Councilman Lay?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to add an agenda item for the Energy Saving Trees Program.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. We'll just take that up right now because it's
Okay.
announced.
So one of the reasons why I wanted to bring this up is because I was made aware that the Rhode Island Department of Environmental Management has a tree program where they're giving away free trees, and registration for this program opens on September 9th. And it helps Rhode Islanders beautify their yards and save energy and money. It helps with stormwater. It's funded by the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative. In order to register for it, you need to sign up at www.arborday.org/RIDEM.
That
And-
address again?
Well, in case you didn't understand my accent when I said arbor, it's www.arborday.org/RIDEM. So, Mr. Chairman, I'll ask for a receive and file, or I'll make a motion to receive and file.
Second.
Discussion?
Just briefly, and that's sponsored by whom again, please?
The Rhode Island Department of Environmental Management,
Maybe we could get that on
Oh.
our,
in partnership with the Rhode Island Tree Council, Rhode Island Nursery and Landscape Association, and the Arbor Day Foundation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Administrator, maybe we could get that website address on our website as a reference point if anyone's interested.
Okay, good.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is public hearing. And this is TWA Inc. doing business as Cedars Hookah Lounge. And this is Tafuka Sai, and this is a request for Class BV limited liquor license.
So as the clerk rightly mentioned, this is a public hearing, so I'm going to open the public hearing and I'm going to ask for, is there anyone here to speak in favor? And I would imagine the applicant would want to speak in favor. Please, come on up.
Questions. Thank you. Myself, actually, is it okay?
Of course it is. Anyone can speak in favor or against because it's public hearing.
I'm
Please.
not used to this.
So I would ask that you state your full name and address for the record, please.
Walid, WALID, ASSI, and the address is 2809 Highland Ave, Fall River, Mass. 02720.
Thank you. Go ahead.
He said that some documents are needed. somebody is asking for, are these supposed to, he's supposed to have this under TWA?
So on the public hearing end of things, and we could certainly address any questions that you have once I close the public
Oh,
hearing,
okay.
and that'll be part of this discussion momentarily. This portion of it is to speak if you are in favor of us granting this
Oh,
and
I'm sorry.
creating it. No. This would be an appropriate time for you to say, I'm in favor of this because I
Okay.
want my son to get it. So please
Okay.
feel free. Is
And
there
I
any-
have one request, please, if possible, to reconsider the liquor license. If that's possible, full liquor license.
Not possible.
Because he's gonna invest like $100,000. Okay?
So let me
And somebody-
stop you. And the reason why is that there's obviously with this process that we're going through right now, there's an absolute process to go through to get to this point. It cannot be changed at that. What I mean by that is we're considering a limited BV license. That is what this public hearing is about. We cannot change that. Now, if you said, I'm not interested or your son, on behalf of your son, I'm not interested in the limited BV, I only want the full, then you could take your chances on us saying no on that, and we can vote
Yeah.
against saying,
Yeah, I mean, it's a simple thing is he's gonna invest like $100,000, right? And for limited liquor license, it's like going to a steakhouse and ask for a steak and they tell you, okay, come back after 6 months. You're not coming back. So he's taking a risk. So I would rather have a full liquor license.
duly noted. Would you like to share? I would assume you'd like to speak positively on at least the establishment on behalf of your son?
I don't know what what the procedures are.
There is nothing. The public hearing allows public, both positive and negative commentary on what's being proposed. And what's being proposed is a liquor license, in this instance, a limited BV
Okay.
license. So, okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Is there anyone else to speak in favor? Is there anyone else to speak in favor? Is there anyone else to speak in favor? Is there anyone to speak against? Please. If
Not
you,
really against, I'm really indifferent at the moment.
if you could state your full name and address for the record.
Dave Lotero, 6 Cathy Court.
Go ahead.
I'm literally the house behind the business.
Okay.
I actually welcome businesses in Bristol. I just have I don't even know if this is the proper place to ask these questions. I just have a few questions because the certified letter that I got didn't really have much information on it. Like my wife and my concern and some of my neighbors as well is like, it's just some simple questions like, is there going to be music? Is there going to be music playing in this place?
So on this application, there was no proposed music.
Okay.
And when I say no proposed, I mean live music or DJ. There was nothing. That would be a separate license on it.
Okay,
And that would also require the applicant, this or any applicant, to come in front of the council, have that discussion. There's a lot of steps to it, but it's certainly a possibility. Those steps would include a plan of what the floor looks like, and then there's fire department, police department input. So there would be many more steps than just saying, yes, it would not be included as part of this.
so as of right now, there is no music.
I agree.
Okay, and the only other concern is like behind that building. And we don't even care. It's just young kids being kids. There's a lot of cars driving fast back and forth through that back road. Kids being kids, not a big deal. I'm just, we're just a little concerned that if there's going to be a business there, it's going to be open till say, 11. I believe it's 11 o'clock. That's going to be open till.
That's what's being proposed. Yes.
Oh yeah, it's a hookah lounge. Attracts a younger crowd. That some of them will start walking back there now, making noise, doing things they shouldn't be doing. Stuff like that. That's probably my only concern. But I'm actually indifferent. I actually welcome more businesses into Bristol. So as long as there's no loud music going on, and I'm good. I'm actually for it if there's no loud music being played.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm going to take it. That was in favor. How's that? So,
If there's no music, it's in favor.
okay. Is there anyone to speak against? Is there anyone to speak against? Is there anyone to speak against?
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion and a second to close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is the resolution to sell the real property at 10 Naomi Street. This is also a public hearing.
So this again is a public hearing. This is the final step in regards to the sale of public property. Mr. Solicitor, if you could just take a moment to share with this council and as importantly, the public on why this is where we are as part of this process and what we've done to get here.
Sure. The decision was made, and I'll leave that for the town administrator, but I think it was long time ago, actually, it was to sell the property. This is a single family house on a fairly large parcel of land next to the high school. It's been rented out over the years, and the decision was made to sell the property. As part of that, a subdivision was done to basically divide the large parcel into 3 smaller parcels. One is just a small strip of land along the street, which will widen the street. That's a street of irregular width, and this will help to get the width pretty much consistent throughout. Then there's a larger area that wraps around. You've got this actually in your packet too. It's at page 61 of the packet. It's the survey, and that's basically being kept by the town for basically stormwater control measures. It acts now, it absorbs a lot of water. And to the extent that other activities and, other stormwater control measures are done in the future in connection with the high school, this creates an additional buffer area. And then we've left a 15,489 square foot lot, which complies with the minimum zoning of 15,000 square feet with the single family house. And that was advertised, 4 proposals. It was publicly advertised and disseminated. We did receive a total of 3 offers on it. And this was the highest offer that didn't have contingencies, this one going forward. It did have a finance contingency, but that has been satisfied. And so since the charter requires that for the town property to be sold, there has to be a public hearing. That's why we're having the public hearing. If you were to approve it, then the plan actually is to have the closing by next week and sell it to someone who is planning to fix it up and live there. Obviously, there's no guarantee that he may not sell it in the future, but that's what his stated purpose are. And in any case, it would be something that would be a single family home, and it will go back on the tax rolls as well.
So thank you for that nice synopsis of how we got here. So this is a public hearing, so I'm going to open it up to the public. Is there anyone here to speak in favor? Is there anyone here to speak in favor? Yes, I have to say this 3 times. Is there anyone to speak in favor? Is there anyone to speak against? Is there anyone to speak against? Is there anyone to speak against?
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Tony to close the public hearing. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. What's this council's pleasure? So what we need is a motion.
To adopt the resolution that is before you as B2.
Motion to adopt the resolution to sell the real property at 10 Naomi Street,
Second.
plot 117.
He wasn't done.
I'm sorry.
Thanks, Tony.
He was.
Motion made by Tim to approve, we'll call it B2. I'm just going to keep it simple. Seconded by Tony. Is there any discussion? Hearing none.
I apologize for that, Council.
Oh, it's okay, Tony.
Hearing none other. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, and congratulations to the new owner. I think that's outstanding. I think it's outstanding both for the town to have that back on the tax rolls, to have a homeowner there, and also the steps that we got here. Nice job to everyone, that all the efforts that were made. Thank you. Madam Clerk.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is C1, and this is ordinance 2021-14 for Chapter 17, and this is to increase the number of Class B limited liquor licenses from 4 to 5. This is second reading for adoption.
So this is in relation to the public hearing that we had directly correlating with it as a limited BV license to increase it to 5 from currently what we have is 4. And then we have an agenda item a little bit down to discuss actually the petitioner looking for this license if this council so chooses to do so.
I move that we approve the increase of the liquor license. BBD.
Second.
Motion made by Tony, seconded by Tim to increase limited BV from 4 to 5. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is C2, and this is ordinance 2021-15, and this is for Chapter 11 to fees and charges for the Beach Pass one-day season, and this is for the students and parents of the Bristol Warren School District through September, to extend through September 15th. Second reading for adoption.
Council.
Make a motion to approve second reading for adoption.
Second.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Tony to approve the second reading of adoption. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, did Warren ever move forward with making any movement on their fees and charges on this, or?
I do not know. Mr. Administrator, are you aware of any changes with them? No, there was none as of yet. There's still time.
We did, for the record, we had 16.
Thank you.
Season passes that were issued, sold.
I think by those numbers, I think this shows that it was utilized. I think it's outstanding. And I think to your point, maybe we can reach out to Warren again for reciprocation on this and see if that opportunity could be offered to Bristol residents too at the Warren Town Beach. Any other discussion? Okay, we had a motion and a second to approve. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is C3, and this is ordinance 2021-16. And this is for Chapter 28 for the zoning ordinance revisions, and this is to allow electric vehicle charging stations, including those with display advertising that provide charging services at no cost to users. This is first reading and call for public hearing on October 20th.
It's a great one. I make a motion to approve the first reading for adoption and call for a public hearing on October 20th.
Second.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Tony for first reading and public hearing on October 20th. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, next item on the agenda is D1, and this is TWA Inc. doing business as Cedar Hookah Lounge, and this is the request for the Class BV limited liquor license.
I'm looking for the gentleman that was. Okay. Council?
Well, I'll just start, just for the record, and if they had to watch it, I mean, I know he asked for a regular liquor license. I mean, he was here a couple of meetings ago when this first came up. He did bring the issue up about how we usually try to start people off by a BV limited license. And I think there's, I don't want to use the word concern, but, this is kind of a new activity for us here. And I think we are really careful on trying to make sure that we have restaurants with drinks and not bars with like some sort of finger food that you microwave 2 seconds in a microwave. So I think that, we really try to convey that to the petitioner. I'm actually sorry he left, so me didn't realize they're on the agenda a number of times tonight. So I think it's important to note that we are trying to do this the way we usually do, to be careful about it, to go in a steady sort of approach to it. And I know that the people that he may want to attract to this hookah lounge may be wanting mixed drinks, but I mean, 6 months will go by pretty quick. And if they are able to do everything they say they're going to do, make sure that the petitioner, the other gentleman that was here, who lives directly behind, I mean, he raised valid concerns that any one of us would have in any one of these neighborhoods that have establishments with alcohol. And so we want to make sure that it's careful, that they are not creating a nuisance in the neighborhood, not creating problems, and that they do what they say they do. So I'm willing to give them a chance, but as a BV limited license holder.
Councilwoman Perler, I agree. I think we should give them a chance, but we need to do a review 6 months. If you, I don't know if you're making a motion or not. I think a Class BV is also a nice step to kind of test with them because there's a sense of trust I think the council is giving with this business, but we also believe in businesses and we want to strengthen businesses in town. So I'm willing to, vote yes to give them a chance on this, and we'll see how it goes. But we do have recommendations from fire chief and the town administrator, and it's from reading, they all approve, and we have positive recommendations from them. So I'm confident that we can keep reviewing this and then keep touch base with this business. So I'm comfortable moving forward.
And no, I was not making a motion, by the way. I was speaking to an intended motion.
Okay, all right, just for clarification. No problem, no problem.
Is there a motion from this council?
I'll make a motion to approve the request for Class BV limited liquor license for the hookah lounge, Cedars Hookah Lounge on 576 Metacom Avenue. It looks like number 4.
I'll second that with just a brief
Discussion.
comment.
Go ahead, please.
I concur strongly with the comments that are already made by both of our colleagues. Certainly is of concern, but we need to certainly monitor the situation since we already had a resident that made us aware of, that some activity has already, occurred there in the area. I think it's certainly, we have to be very cautious going forward. But they deserve an opportunity, for the 6 months.
I agree. I know and Mayor, I think you captured it perfectly. I am remembering the buffet on Mount Hope and we started with a limited BV for that purpose. We've also have gone right to a full BV license if you've had history in the town. I'm remembering or recalling what soon will be the wood-fired pizza on Wood Street, but we had history and that history was extremely positive. So it's a case-by-case basis. The precedent is let's show history. Let's show that it's a good neighbor. We have no reason to think otherwise. And the recommendations were not in favor of it. They were recommendations that they had no issues with it, ultimately leaving up us to make that final decision. So I'm in concurrence that 6 months from opening. So once they're actually opening and doing business, 6 months from that time. And
Did I include that in my motion?
you did say 6 months. Yes.
Good,
So,
okay, good.
yes.
Okay.
So is there any other discussion?
Mr.
Okay.
Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Administrator.
when we reviewed this application, we did recommend that they continue with a full restaurant menu.
Mhm.
So I don't know if that could be part of the conditions, at least for the next 6 months, but I think it's important that there's something other than alcohol and a hookah bar. And we do have concerns that were mentioned in police department's recommendation regarding proximity to the other businesses, one being a karate studio with children, and the neighbors are only approximately 60 feet from the back door. So there were some reservations, but we have no reason to say, no, we're not recommending them, but we think if it's part of a business plan includes meals and a full restaurant menu, would be a little bit more going on there than just drinking alcohol and smoking and then leaving.
So, Mr. Administrator, I think it's perfect that we just restate this. I think Tim captured it. I think Mary captured it. I think Tony reiterated it. I know that in prior meetings, I've said restaurant first, bar second, restaurant forward. And it is not speaking to this specific, this is how we have handled. And I'll take a moment here and congratulate the town and being the #1 safest community in the state of Rhode Island. That doesn't happen by accident. That happens with decisions that are made here. That is a direct reflection of our police department and the outstanding work that they do. And it's a myriad and a piles of small decisions that are made. And those things happen in conversations like this, and make sure that it is appropriate, not only for Bristol, but its closest neighbors, right? This business surrounded by neighborhood. So I'm glad that you said it. It is now part of the record. It's been reiterated multiple times.
Do you need
Tim,
me
and
to
actually,
amend
maybe you
that?
could
Do you want me
restate
to-
your motion that would include such a thing.
Okay, I'll restate my motion is to again approve the Class BV limited liquor license for the Cedar Hookah Lounge on 576 Metacom Avenue with a 6 months review. This is conditional that they have a working menu and they are serving food with this license, and we're holding to the ordinance of a 60% food, 40% liquor.
Can I just suggest that we say instead of food,
No,
Well,
second that.
meals? Can we say meals? instead of
Meals
food?
is-
One
meals
moment,
is
the
fine.
solicitor wants to weigh in before you finish that motion, Tim.
They do have a 6-page menu
Yeah, they do.
that they provided with their application, which,
They did.
and I would link it to that.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying they have to have every night. If they're out of, chicken wings some night, that's not going to be a violation.
Hell hath no fury, right? So.
But that they've submitted, this is the menu they've said,
They have.
and for the next 6 months, we're essentially going to hold them to this. If they want to, cut it way back, then they're going to have to come back to this council for that. So I would suggest you
It's
make a
condition.
condition upon the menu that was submitted with the application.
So moved.
So why would we
Wait
just say?
one
that-
moment, Mary,
I'm
could you
sorry.
second
Okay, I'm
that?
sorry.
I'll second it.
Go ahead, Mary.
Why would we limit the menu to 6 months? I mean, I wouldn't want to give someone the idea that after 6 months, they get a full liquor license and then they can take the food away. I mean, that doesn't make sense to me. I mean, they have to have some food. But I mean, their original menu that was, if I remember correctly, the original menu that was submitted to us was nothing like this. It was just your basic, like, microwavable stuff. And then they have come back with something that is a lot of sort of bar food, if you will, to actual meals and sort of specializing in sort of Middle Eastern type food. So I think that that is good, and I wouldn't want to see that. I would say that the whole place gets conditioned that they're going to have a menu and everything else in their behavior.
I think the solicitor's point was only
yeah.
that we'll condition it for 6 months and then they have to come back. And then we reiterate those requirements on a go-forward basis.
Right.
Is that,
Obviously there was a comment in there that didn't come through in the verbal statement, but I think the condition goes with a license as long as this license is there. The 6 months was simply referring to the fact that you're planning a 6-month review as well.
perfect.
Perfect. All right.
Are we, everyone okay? Any other discussion?
Mr. Chairman?
I don't think I asked. No.
No, I'll just remind everyone here and for the applicant, if they see this, whatever, but also anybody who has a Class B license must serve food while they're serving alcohol. They do not necessarily have to have their complete menu, but they can't close the kitchen at 10 o'clock and not have any food available and still be open later on alcohol or whatever time. They must serve food along with the alcohol the entire time they're serving alcohol. That's part of the state regulations and would subject them to suspension or fine or revocation if they didn't do that, this and everybody else.
Thank you for
Thank
restating that. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is TWA, doing business as Cedar Hookah Lounge, request for a vitrilling license.
Speaking of menus, make a
What if we
motion.
don't approve them? What happens at that point, right? So.
Can you guess what I'm going to do? I'll
Go ahead.
make a motion to approve the vittering license.
Second.
Motion made by Tim to approve the license, seconded by Tony. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is D3, and this is Courtney Gurton. This is a request for one-day dancing and entertainment license for Molly Palooza, and this is to be held on Saturday, October 9th, 2021.
If you could state your full name and address for the record.
Courtney Gurton, 54 Charles Street, Bristol, Rhode Island.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your consideration.
Tell us what this is and.
So I am on the board of directors for Almost Home Rescue. We're a 501c3 nonprofit organization that is dedicated to helping abandoned, abused, and neglected dogs. And each year I host a fundraiser called Molly Palooza. This will be the 10th year that we're having it. And every penny goes towards dogs in need. So we have a clam boil. We started around 2 o'clock. We have a clam boil, other food, local establishments donate food. We have raffles, games, and then we have live music. Typically, I have the music at one of our venues or establishments in Bristol that has a music license. But due to COVID this year, I really want to try to keep everything outside. So the Cup Defenders have donated their venue, and I want to do everything in their backyard that is fenced in. It's got ample parking, and the music would be out there as well. And I would like to have the music from 6 to 8 and wrap it up, have everybody out by 9, in bed by 10. Because I'm old.
Thought process is excellent.
Thank you.
It does say on your application that the majority of tickets are sold in advance. It's open to the public, but there's a capacity limit. If someone was interested in supporting this event, how would they do it?
So we have an online ticket. We'll use an online ticket service like Eventbrite. I also have paper tickets that I sell. The majority of tickets I try to sell, I would say 95% of them I try to sell in advance because I need to know how much we have the Little Neck Boil and our members of our local fishermen community put that on. So I really need a solid number. However, I don't want to turn anybody away if they're willing to spend $25 and come. It all depends, on how many tickets we've sold. But of course, I would adhere to the Cup Defenders capacity limit, which I've requested. I don't know what their outside capacity limit is. So they're getting back to me on that. But obviously, we would adhere to that.
If this council were to approve, I think we can make it contingent upon the approval of our police and fire department.
Absolutely.
And
We
of
invite you
course,
all
the
to come too.
administrator. So, very nice.
And rain or shine on the Saturday?
We have a tent. It is rain or shine.
Good.
Yeah, we have
Just-
a tent that, I'm hoping it shines, but.
We're hoping for sunshine, for sure. But just wanted to ask.
Fingers crossed. We
Yeah.
can move it inside the Cup Defender, if we have to. Obviously, they have, a large private event room. However, as I mentioned, due to COVID, I really am trying to keep everything outdoors.
Yep.
So, of course, with alcohol sales, anyone who is over 21 and wants to drink will have to go into the bar to purchase alcohol.
Mhm.
But
Okay.
otherwise, the food and the music is part of the $25 ticket.
Excellent.
Courtney, this has been going on for 10 years now, right?
We did not do
Yeah.
it last year
Yeah.
because of COVID, obviously, but yes.
It
Yep.
really began with humble beginnings though, right? Wasn't it
it did. It
something out
actually-
of the backyard or something like
Molly
that?
was my dog that I rescued from almost home. So we named it Molly Palooza. We actually had a birthday party for her when she turned 3, and we said it was her 21st birthday party. The paper came and they actually did an article on it. They thought she was
Aw.
really 21. They didn't get the dog. Kind of funny. So it started off that way. and it
Do
was-
your research.
it was just a party. And the first year we raised, $400. And then the second year it grew. And then the third year and we didn't do it last year, but 2 years ago, our last Molly Palooza, we raised over $5,000 for dogs in need. So
Nice.
it's a fun one-day event and everyone is invited here.
What's this council's pleasure?
Excellent.
That's awesome.
I make a motion to approve it.
Second.
Motion made by Tony to approve, seconded by Mary. Discussion? Could you add to that? It's because if there's any variances that we could work with the fire department, and police department for capacity limits.
Yes,
So, okay, as part of
Well
that.
said. Thank you.
Perfect.
That's added to the motion.
thank you. I appreciate it.
Any other discussion? Wait a minute.
Not yet.
Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is F1, and this is a petition from Christopher Clayla from Toasted Bun Hospitality doing business as Statement Tavern, and this is a request for one additional Class BV liquor license.
Is Christopher here?
Yes, sir.
Please, if you could state your full name and address for the record.
My name is Christopher Clyla, 10 State Street, Warren, Rhode Island.
Welcome.
Thank you.
You are in front of us asking for an additional liquor license.
Yes, sir.
Tell us why.
My liquor license was revoked due to just ignorance and COVID devastation. I didn't receive the restaurant relief fund money, and I was holding out for as long as I possibly could. And I fell behind on my taxes, and the license was eventually revoked. I'm doing my best to get the business up and running again. We held out for as long as we could, and it's just been economically and emotionally devastating. But my goal is to get it up and running again. So I need one more liquor license from the town and then reapply to get said liquor license is my plan. We've been in business for 6 years, successfully, very successfully in the town of Bristol. We've had no issues with police or fire, underage drinking, nothing like that. I've been in front of you guys a couple times in the past. Not getting the federal money is something that happened to a lot of restaurants. A lot got some, and I got an email from the feds just saying that it wasn't coming and that they ran out. And then that was basically rock bottom for Statesman. It should have closed earlier. And I apologize for any headaches that I gave you guys, and it was ignorance to not participate. I know the last thing that any of you guys would ever have wanted to do was actually pull the license. I'm well aware of that. So I'm just here doing my best, taking every step I can to get this business up and running again.
So Christopher, we had an earlier agenda item. We spoke about creating licenses and giving an additional license to someone who had an outstanding track record in the town.
Yes, sir.
You correctly pointed out that your track record with the police, fire, and honestly with our water pollution, because there's requirements on that, there has been no issues.
Yes, sir.
With you. I know that. I've done my research. I think my colleagues have too. The challenge was contacting, and I'm not going to, that was a very humble mea culpa. And I know there was efforts on the town's end, and I appreciate you realizing that. I also appreciate, and I think it's what you just did was very difficult. And the point of saying it was a challenging time, and there's a lot of people that went through that.
Yeah.
I myself have no objection to creating a new license because of your past history.
Thanks, sir.
And certainly my colleagues have their own points. What happened, for everyone's clarity, was there was a lot of time that had gone by, and there was multiple attempts to speak with Christopher, as Christopher pointed out. What we very, very much try to do is to be even-handed and allow people a little bit of latitude, sometimes a little bit more latitude.
Yeah.
When things happen, right? In this instance, the latitude went on very long. And what we don't want to do is that again. And I don't mean with you, I mean that we want to be fair with everyone.
Absolutely.
And if we allow long lapses, then we have to do it for everyone. I'm not pouring salt in your wound, because I told you that honestly, besides that, you've been a great neighbor.
Thank you.
And the feedback, personal, because I've been there, and from others, is
We
that
appreciate
outstanding.
your support. Yeah.
So
Thank
I'm very confident that my colleagues feel the same way as I do about what we've said so far, and that we'd like to see you continue.
Thank you,
So
sir.
It was
I
really
do-
challenging to take the license away. So.
Yeah, I understand. And I do sincerely apologize for that. And I didn't want any additional headaches for any of the members of council or anyone else. I do also want to mention is that I have since received the letter of good standing from the Division of Taxation and the Secretary of State.
Yeah.
Just because that's of note, I think.
Yeah.
It's a very worthwhile note to be
Yeah.
made. Certainly.
Thank you, sir. I just wanted to make sure that that was said. I believe that's all I have.
Council?
Chris, I'd like to say, proud of you. I mean, hardships can get the best of somebody and put them down and sometimes keep them down, but you're here rallying forward, coming back. I think what made me so nervous personally, I won't just speak for myself, I don't want to speak for my colleagues, but the communication. We just want to make sure that we have a good communication with you, because you're a great business in town, obviously no issues, and we want you to stay here. So with that said, glad you're back.
Thank you, Mr. Sweeney.
And gonna tear it up, I'm sure. But I'll make a motion to refer I'll refer this to the solicitor to go ahead and draft a Class BV liquor license.
I'll second that.
And we're going to create an additional
liquor license.
which will
Yep.
require those normal steps. Okay.
Yeah.
Discussion?
I just wanted to, excuse me, just to say, to reiterate the points that my colleagues have made in terms of just the communication aspect of it, because it seems like when we had, that there was a long a long list of attempts.
Mhm.
And I think maybe we all learn the hard way sometimes when we're younger, like it's better to address the issue, at least talk to the town or talk to those bill collectors
Mhm.
and see if you can work something out than to just let it ride like that. So
Mhm.
I think that was disturbing to everyone and it's not surprising because you're such a small establishment, like what happened with COVID hurt so many people in the hospitality industry it's just really sad. So I think I agree with Councilman Sweeney's comments in terms of you're back here, you're ready to, do what you need to do. But if you can just really keep aware of that communication aspect with the town, because everybody has been tried, so many attempts have been made.
I understand.
Chris, I just want to wish you luck. I know
Thanks.
how difficult this has been for businesses. And I really hope that you're able to emerge from this stronger, and we'll be rooting for you.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Any other discussion? So we had a motion and a second to refer to the solicitor to create an ordinance to create an additional liquor license. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank
So
you.
you will be
Good luck, Chris.
informed of the next steps. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is public service appointments. And this is G1A. This is the Special Constable Fire Police, and we have a recommendation from the Town Administrator Fire Chief for James Marrera on Fort Proto Lane.
Make a motion that we accept the recommendation.
Second.
Motion made by Tony, seconded by Tim to accept the recommendation. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is G1B, and this is the CRMC representative. And this is to fill an unexpired term ending in January 2021. And we have John B. Triano of 707 Hope Street with interest in appointment.
Council?
Was there anybody else? Obviously, there's nobody
No,
else.
there was nobody on that board for a while. And so I advertised it a couple of times in a row, but that's the only application we received.
Right.
But he was
I
on
did
it
not.
in 18, so hasn't he been the representative?
No. he hasn't. His term expired and then he never reapplied. And then nobody filled it for those years. And so I'm trying to get it filled because there's a vacancy in there.
That's weird.
So since he's been on there,
Yeah.
yeah, so
Fire.
I'll make a motion to reappoint John Troiano to the CRMC representative.
Second.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Mary to appoint. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
The next item is G1C, and this is the Christmas Festival Committee, and Michael J. Riley, the chairman of the Christmas Festival Committee, with the recommendation for Sheila Konis on 6 Franklin Drive.
Based on the recommendation of the chair, I move that we approve it.
Second.
Motion made by Tony, seconded by Tim to approve. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is G1D, and this is the Harbor Commission Advisory Board, and this is Owen O'Rourke, and this is interest in reappointment for the term expiring August 2024.
Make a motion to reappoint.
Second.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Tony to reappoint. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Yes, thank you for stopping me. For all of us, thank you to our boards and commissions for the efforts and the energies. We had interviews of 3 gentlemen prior to this regular meeting for openings that relate to the Harbor and Harbor Commission and Advisory Board. And they were 3 outstanding candidates. And I would like to tell you that is not the norm, but it is the norm. We have a lot of people that put their name in that are on boards currently that express interest. And this town and this council says thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item of business is H1. This is Brenda Turquetta, the Executive Director of Mount Hope Farm, and this is in regard to the revision of the Mount Hope Farm bylaws.
So we had referred this to the solicitor for feedback on the changes to the bylaws, and the solicitor had asked that we continue this to September 29th. I reached out to Brenda today, the executive director, And because of their timelines and making those changes, it made more sense to continue this to the October 20th meeting. So if,
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to continue to the October 20th. Sorry, did I interrupt you?
no, go ahead.
All right.
Second.
Discussion?
I have just one thing, if I could ask for clarification on, Andy. On page 2 of the, or Diane even, of the document that Diane did, the summary, which I thought was really, really good and really, really helpful to see it this way and to see what and highlight the changes. It talks about, and I saw it also in the actual document, it talks about the town's events sponsored by town 501c3 organizations and or sponsored by Indigenous people, specifically Pokanoket, may be provided a discount rental cost if space is available. And I just thought that that is not technically totally correct. I'm not sure if that's what was meant, because it seems to me that town sponsored 501c3s, which could be any 501c3, right? But also town, like, is the town in a separate category? In other words, like the 4th of July committee is not a 501c3.
Right.
The Christmas festival is not a 501c3.
Thank you. I think that was a distinction in the current amendment where it's no longer town organizations, it's 501c3s, 501c3 organizations. So I think that was a change that was made. But I can look back on that for the October meeting.
I do think it's important that you maybe talk to Brenda about that, because they might not want the town, like, oh, we're gonna go have our, next installation of town council, elected officials. But I'm not sure that they need to close out like the 4th of July committee or some of those others. And people may not realize that they're not official 501c3s.
Okay.
So I don't know if you could clarify that with them or bring that up.
I will. I'll
Okay.
talk to Brenda about it.
Thank
So
you.
unintended distinction.
Right,
Yes,
right.
thank you.
Okay. Very good.
Thank you. All right, so we had a motion and a second to continue to October 20th with the request for additional information from Councilman Perrella. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is I1. And this is Maria Cimarero. And this is a request for support of the Dysautonomia Awareness Proclamation.
Is Maria here? If you could state your full name and address for the record.
Sure. My name is Maria Semeraro Berlanca, 681 Metacom Avenue.
Welcome. And by the way, thank you for the phonetics, how to pronounce it, because I was lost without that. So thank you. So welcome.
Thank you for having me here. I developed dysautonomia or POTS after having my child. I was extremely healthy before having him. I worked in mental health, also victim advocate for the Glendale Police Department in Colorado. I did a lot of modeling as well. And unfortunately, my dream came short after having him. I developed a disorder called POTS, which is, unfortunately, it's not rare, but it's misdiagnosed a lot. And there is a lot of unnecessary suffering out there. It took 10 years to find out what was wrong with me. Actually, I took it upon myself to pretty much study the human body. I diagnosed myself, found the closest doctor was in Boston. So, after testing, they told me that my diagnosis was right. The reason why this has become a mission is because POTS or dysautonomia is not uncommon at all. It's just misdiagnosed. And now we have a lot of people that are coming out with POTS after developing COVID. So a lot of people with COVID, post-COVID, are now experiencing dysautonomia or POTS. So my fear is that, when they go to the doctor, most doctors are not, they don't know what's going on, and they might be, giving medication for depression or anxiety, which that's not the issue. When I had the proclamation approved in Jamestown because I lived there. And also the mayor of Newport gave me one, and the governor, Gino Raimondo. I met with them as well. I did not realize that after they wrote an article about me, I didn't know I was going to have so many people looking for me, asking questions because they were experiencing the same symptoms. I was expecting maybe one or two people, since, you know, Jamestown and Newport, they're small, you know, towns, but I had about 40 people reaching out to me that I sent to Boston. So it's my mission now since I moved to Bristol to kind of broaden that and, you know, make this information available to the public, in particular now that a lot of people are experiencing after COVID. And, you know, there is a lot of people that they don't know what to do now with these symptoms and they don't know where to go. So
if someone wants to find out more, how would they do so?
the organization I belong to is called Dysautonomia International, and they have all the information there. They can also look for a provider close to them, which is probably going to be Boston. Unfortunately, there is anybody in Rhode Island that treat that, you know, POTS.
So I'm looking at the correct pronunciation, dysautonomia.
Yes.
Am I saying that correctly?
Which is pretty much, if I can, I'm not gonna go too much in
Certainly.
depth because,
Go ahead.
but it's pretty much what happened is POTS can be caused for numerous reasons. So that's why it's so hard to pinpoint. It's pretty much the aftermath of a trauma that the body experienced. In my case was pregnancy, but it can happen after the flu, after a car accident, after COVID. So pretty much the autonomic nervous system malfunction. So every organ, so it's a multi-organ issue because every organ that's supposed to work automatically, it doesn't work. So it's the signal from the autonomic nervous system to the different organs is not working properly. So that includes the blood pressure, the heart rate. Now that I'm standing up, my heart rate is probably about 110, 120, just for standing up here and talking to you. So blood pressure, you know, everything that is supposed to work out automatic, that you don't even think when you get up, you know, the body usually adapts automatically. In my case, it doesn't. So that's pretty much what it is.
Thank you for
It's a
that.
dysfunction of the autonomic nervous system.
Thank you for that explanation. So what's in front of us is to support the awareness proclamation.
Yes, I'd like to move that we draft that proclamation.
It's actually drafted already and it's included.
Oh, I know, yeah, I know
Yeah.
it is. I thought we had, well, to support it and to sign it and to make it available for October. And can you also tell us, I'll make that as a motion. so-
Sure.
And then I'll come back to the question.
Is there a second? Second discussion.
Who treats you in Boston? I mean, is it one of the big hospitals or?
Yes, it's a Brigham and Women. They have an autonomic lab designed to test and treat you. The first thing they'll do is put you on a table and slowly lift the table with all the sensor attached to the blood pressure, the brain, and the lungs. And they will pick up, as you're standing up, it will pick up if everything is adjusting to your position. And they also do biopsy to see if you have, you know, other conditions. They try to rule out as much as possible, just because, like I said, there are many reasons why you can have it. Lyme disease is another one. Low vitamin B12 is another one. So they rule out all of that because if they can find, you know, the primary cause, then your POTS is going to get better. But unfortunately, that's not always the, you know.
Well, I thought it was very, excuse me, very interesting.
Yes.
And very helpful. And so many, it can be so many different things.
Yes.
As you've explained in here. And I think getting the word out is really helpful to a lot of people. And certainly to, to know that there's resources nearby in terms of Boston, that somebody actually is looking at all this. I'd never heard of it before. And so, and I think especially with long COVID, I was listening to some other doctors talking about other things happening as a impact of COVID, long COVID, and their time in the ICU, for example.
Yeah, they've been very busy in Boston with the long haulers from COVID.
Yeah.
And also another thing is that a lot of children develop it when they go through puberty. And unfortunately, a lot of these kids are being treated for depression and anxiety, which that's not the case. So.
Well, I think you made the comment in here, and it's so true that women just get treated as
Yes.
everything's always like depression,
Yes.
anxiety, some
And that's
sort of
still going on
psychological
in
something or other. And you have to kind of
2021.
like really be your own advocate.
Yes. I just don't want other people to go through 10 years of, back and forth, and maybe you have this and all these unnecessary CAT scans and MRIs that, I did not need. And I guess that's my mission, to lessen.
It's a noble mission.
Yes.
Will you be, just one last final question for me. Will you be going to other cities and towns to ask for this as well?
I already have the state. Like I said, I met when Gina Raimondo was the governor. I have Jamestown and I have Newport. So, but I will continue. That's just because I've been in Rhode Island for 9 years now. Yeah, I'm a native of Italy. I'm
I
Italian.
read that, yes.
I didn't hear it in your accent at all.
Yeah, the original.
I like it. It's just-
Thank you. And then I lived in Denver, Colorado and I was very active in the community. Like I say, I was active with the mental health community, low income communities, and victim of domestic violence.
And how long have you been in Bristol?
2 years.
2 years. Oh,
Yeah, my husband was going to law school. That's why we moved here.
very
And,
nice. Very good. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Any more question for me? Or?
I was going to say, if the council would like, I can also share this with the other cities and towns. I can share it with all the clerks to see if they can share it with their council.
yeah,
Great
Absolutely.
suggestion. Great suggestion.
Thank you.
Any other discussion?
Just thank you for sharing the information with us.
I
It's certainly very informational and educational. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we had a motion and a second to support the proclamation. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is I2, and this is my request for appointment and the swearing in of the new deputy clerk. Her name is Laurie Hubbard, who is here in the audience.
I can see Lori over there.
In the corner. So I request that the council approve the appointment of Laurie Hubbard, and I ask that I can swear in during the meeting. Her dad is here. too.
So move.
Second.
There's a motion and a second as requested and swearing in. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That's a nice way to start, isn't it?
Congratulations. Congratulations.
So I'm not sure technically how I'm supposed to do this if the microphone is here, but I think, Laura, if you don't mind stepping up to the podium.
It's wonderfully uncomfortable, isn't it?
Yeah,
a little bit.
So I feel weird sitting down, so I'm just going to stand up. So if you can raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Laurie Hubbard,
I, Laurie Hubbard,
solemnly swear
solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
and obey the laws of the United States of America
and obey the laws of the United States of America
and the state of Rhode Island,
and the state of Rhode Island,
and that I will in all respects
and that I will in all respects
observe the provisions
observe the provisions
of the charter and ordinances
of the charter and ordinances
for the town of Bristol,
for the town of Bristol,
and will faithfully discharge
and will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of Deputy Town Clerk.
of Deputy Town Clerk.
Okay, you may now clap.
Your first assignment is repeating the whole thing back. Congratulations.
Yes.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is I3, and this is Ryan.
Take all the notes back.
I did. The next item on the agenda is I3, and this is Ryan Brennan, the library director, and this is in regards to salary adjustments.
Welcome. Thank you. Good evening.
Good
Good
evening.
evening, Ryan.
Just go for it.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm here with you tonight to request a salary increase for 6 staff members, part-timers, ranging from as little as 4 hours per week to about 26. And essentially the reason for this request, retention, of course, number one, and bring us more in line with other similar libraries in the state. I'm sure it's no secret to all of you the difficulty a lot of places have had in hiring lately and filling staff positions. And this is also part of a longer term goal of, in the past, we had different staff work in different departments on different floors. We're doing a lot of cross training and trying to kind of normalize our paraprofessionals across all departments, so we can provide the same level of customer service regardless of where you are in the building. So yeah, that's the purpose behind the request.
So Ryan and I spoke prior to the meeting, and this would normally be, not actually normally, this would be handled as part of the budget process. So this is certainly out of what we would normally do. I was okay with it because Ryan stated that he will stay with inside his his budget and pull from other line items that will have that money.
Yes,
So he's able to achieve this goal and not go over the budget already approved by this council. So
correct.
Ryan, I just had a quick question. If you are going to pull from some of the line items to make up for that increase, if we decide to approve it tonight, it's not going to overline you or redline you in other areas, is it? Just trying to prevent issues for the upcoming budget.
It will.
Okay, great. All right, just want to make sure.
Sorry, I'm not opposed to this. I just don't want you to misunderstand, but I am sort of taken by the fact that you want to bring everybody up to the same level. And my question just is, when I'm looking at the staff that you're looking at, some of these people been there longer periods of time, or because you have different rates already? So, I mean, some people will be getting a $3, roughly, $3.45 raise, like automatically, and the others will get like maybe a $2.06 raise. I'm gonna just have my math off a little bit, but what was your thought about that? Because it's something that we all struggle with, like you do just like a flat rate, if everybody's gonna get like $2.50 increase and then gradually bring everybody up to that over 15.
Right. So part of that reason is because some of the staff actually started as pages, and then kind of essentially after working with them, we thought they were up to the role of doing frontline customer service and working at public service desks and helping people with technology. So they were eventually trained to work in those roles, and actually are probably used more often in those roles now than simply shelving books. So that's the reason for their salary difference.
It's a tough one for me, really is, because as the chairman already pointed out, for us to start setting precedents in the middle of the budget when it's not the budget season. I mean, this was quite a debate, I recall, at budget time. I remember folks bombarding, many of the counselors, with emails and all kinds of things as to how people deserved. And there was not enough money being allocated for the library. And suddenly I'm faced with, okay, well, we have enough money to give increases now, and we only, 2 months into the budget time, July, August, yeah, just about that. So I'm struggling a bit with that. And to Mary's point, she struck a good point, should these folks all get the same? I mean, people, when they joined the workforce, they strive to earn a pay. I fully understand, but there's a bottom line that they sort of move up the ladder. So to give a flat right across the board, I struggle with that one. I really do. Plus, if I may, just 1 minute. And the fact is, and it seems to be almost across the board. And when I say across the board, that the thinking, sometimes is I'll get the job. And then once I'm in, no, it's not good enough. I need to get the increase. We get the same thing with people moving to town. it's a beautiful community. They enjoy all these things that we have to offer. And suddenly it's like, oh, not good enough. I need something in the street, too much noise here, things there. So when we plan the game halfway through, or change the rules, I should say, I have a difficult time with that. And not that people don't deserve a day's pay for a day's work, not at all. I'm all for it. And I know what it feels like to go through that. So just letting you know that I have some concerns with that.
So yeah, I'll speak to a couple things regarding the line. And so originally we hired a new position. They were budgeted for a family plan for health benefits, only took a single plan. So that's part of the reason of why there's line item money there. Also, we have a retirement coming up of somebody who makes more. So there's salary savings there as well. And also just, we hired 3 new staff members. None of them started on July 1. So there's months of salary savings there too. So that's where the lines are coming from, or the money coming from, those particular lines. And also there was a memorandum of agreement with our friends of Rogers Free Library to, part of their contribution to supplement salaries. And part of the reason that these people weren't brought up to $15 an hour threshold at the time is because they were brand new. But this was, 2.5 years ago now. And that was, I guess, missed by me because it was my first budget cycle. So I didn't kind of recognize that history, I guess.
Did you, if they all start at the same time, if some of them have more, I'm not a big fan of seniority, but for lack of better terms, more seniority, did you give a thought to, a certain flat amount of raise for everybody? In terms of like $2 or $3 and then wherever they were, and then to move them up more, maybe in the next budget cycle, or, even in 6 months, or when they hit their 6 month or their 1 year, or their 2 year anniversary. Did you go through any of those thoughts?
Yeah, I thought about it. I guess the decision came down to, for this particular ask, was just that everybody's getting asked to do the same work, all working equally hard. And there isn't a lot of gap in terms of most of these hires. It's a couple months in some cases. So yeah, that was the reason behind it. I am not opposed to, and I think there is an argument, I guess, to be made for a flat rate as opposed to just bringing up everybody to the same level. But yeah, that was kind of my thought process, I guess.
I just wanted to know the rationale behind it. I don't have an issue. Just the amount of money the difference between a single plan and a family plan is huge.
Exactly.
It's so it's probably $12,000, if not more, in itself. So I don't have an issue with that. I just was curious about why we're bringing everybody up, some people getting so much more than others. And, I had a similar issue, but it was with full-time people. And I was debating, that whole idea of like a certain flat rate, like so many thousands of dollars, or a percentage. And percentage really doesn't only benefits certain people at the top, let's say. So, that's why it just sort of struck me. There's a big difference here. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Brian, I will let you know I am in support of the increase. For me, preventing the turnover, I think is key. I know there's trouble getting good people, and to stay competitive with the other libraries as well, if they could go. I'm seeing there's others. And also, I think it's good that you're going to be able to stay within your budget. So you're going to be able to bring them up. And also, number 3, it looks like there's no real seniority between any of these candidates. It's sort of like a flat, and they're all on the same as well. So for the additional, it looks like $5,000. Yeah. So I just want to let you know, I think I'm okay. I'm in support.
Thank you.
Ryan, thanks for coming up here. You're the first one here at 6:15. You saw the Harbor Commission interviews and everything. So thank you for all the supporting evidence here and everything, and some of the supporting evidence for what other industries are looking like. I'm just kind of curious, have you been hearing anything from your colleagues at other libraries about losing staff members or anything like part-time workers and kind of the impact that that may have had on staffing or anything like that?
Yeah, my colleagues in Massachusetts and Rhode Island are all having difficulties hiring right now. I think part of that is a lot of municipalities, when we lost people because of COVID, whether, you know, they didn't feel safe coming into work. And so obviously none of us hired during that time period. So once we hit the new fiscal year, the floodgates kind of opened where now all the libraries can hire again. So there really is kind of, I mean, I wish when I came out of library school, there was this many jobs available. But yeah, there's just kind of immense amount of competition right now in the area for filling those positions. And yeah, like you mentioned, other industries are, you know, bringing their salaries up as well, and that are still in kind of that customer service forward facing realm.
Any other discussion? What's this council's pleasure?
Before we go on, may I?
Did we have a motion? I'm sorry, did I miss a motion? No, could we have a motion in a second and then discussion on it?
I'll make a motion to approve the salary adjustments as stated from the current rate to the new hourly rate.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Yes. Right, I'm gonna vote in favor because at budget time, I recall what was transpiring and I didn't like that a whole lot because you were fairly new in the scene. And there was a bit of manipulation at that time, you know, it was not a issue, but I could sense that when these folks came before us. So with that being said, I'm going to go in favor, but I would be a little cautious going forward, you know.
Okay.
Can I just ask one last question? Is this going to be your new minimum wage, or are you, if you hire somebody tomorrow to be a page or whatever, what would their starting rate be?
So a page would start at minimum wage. But yeah, $15.45 would be the rate for a library associate. So somebody who could work all 3 public service desks.
But just to clarify on Councilwoman Perella's question, when you're not looking to expand the employment.
Oh, no, I'm currently
Right,
hiring a
I mean,
position,
if
but
you're,
like I mentioned, it's
somebody
full-time.
leaves, you will replace, but you're not expanding. Okay.
Correct.
Yeah.
So you can hear the apprehension and you can see the apprehension. To speak plainly, this happens at budget time. And there's a reason why we have a budget. And the budget is there so we can plan tax rates, so we know what's coming and plan for it. So to be clear is that this is not something that would be looked upon positively. It's not being right now. So I can't imagine a second request, and I don't mean from your department, I just mean in general, would not be positively looked at. So I think your goal is the correct one. And again, staying inside your budget is why I'm, and I think Tony said it too, is why I'm comfortable with it too. But we certainly this will also need to be focused on in the next budget too. And these steps that we're taking should be also considered in our next budget. Any other discussion?
Well, I would just say the sustainability of it. I mean, that's the other thing to make sure of, you know, that you'll be able to sustain it going forward.
Right.
So we had a motion and a second to approve as requested. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Brian.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is I4, and this is Town Administrator Contente in regard to the Roger Williams University CRMC application for the extension of the educational aquacultural farm lease.
Mr. Administrator, I know that we spoke about this a week ago or something like that. And the goal to have this on the agenda was to inform the council and the public about what has transpired on this. If you don't mind, you were at the meetings and I know you shared the information with me. So
Sure. So on Friday, the 27th, there was a predetermination hearing with CRMC, Coastal Resources Management Council. And the applicant is Roger Williams University, and they're interested in building a scientific aquaculture farm, approximately 2 acres on the north side of their sailing center in Mount Hope Bay. So in attendance were myself, the chairperson of the Harbor Commission. There's also an invite that was put out. There was only one other person from the public and a DEM representative. So during that hearing, we asked, a request was made from the town that the hearing be continued to the next Harbor Commission meeting. It was granted, and so the next Harbor Commission meeting is on the 13th, Monday night at 7 p.m. at the Maritime Center. So we just wanted this on file. We think this is significant. We think it's a position between our department heads, including the harbor master, myself. It's a worthwhile project, but we would like to hear a little bit more from commercial fishing, and there wasn't a very big representation there at that meeting. So we'd like to hear more from Roger Williams University. And again, it's not a for-profit, it's not for business, it's not for sale. The presentation was very good, very well thought out, and it could ultimately lead to a healthier bay with the studies that they do there. So we're not no means opposed to it, but we just think it needs to be heard in a larger venue. So CRMC was kind enough, the hearing officer was kind enough to postpone until the 13th, and we'll continue that.
So if you're the public, we all are, and you're interested in this, go to the Harbor Commission meeting so you can hear Harbor Commission thoughts. You can hear from the university and what they're proposing, and be part of that discussion. That's at our Maritime Center, which is of course downtown, right on the water there. And thank you, Mr. Administrator, for making sure there's going to be a receive and file. But certainly colleagues want to input, but thank you for sharing this to make sure that the public knows what's going on. So.
Just point of clarification. Did you say September 13th or the 18th?
13th.
13th.
13th at 7 p.m. Maritime Center on Thames Street.
Okay. 13th.
So we just need a motion to receive and file.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is I-5, and this is Town Administrator's request for executive session.
We'll take that up at the end of the meeting.
The next item on the agenda is J1, and this is the bid for the bid 962 for the Church Street dock extension. And we received 3 bids today.
Maybe we put our seatbelts on these. Go ahead.
We'll you down in a second. The first bid that we received was from Coastal Marina Construction LLC, and that was in the amount of $6,221,524. The second bid was from Reagan Marine Construction, and that one was in the amount of $4,244,110. And the last one was from ACK Marine and General Construction, and that one was in the amount of $5,239,520.
Mr. Administrator, would you remind us our Mr. Harbor Master, maybe both of you, remind us of what we had initially spoke of? I am not recalling what we had guessed these dollars to be.
Oh, I'm gonna have the harbor master answer that, because I know we had already awarded the bid for the construction of the floats. So that was awarded, but Greg.
So initially, we were looking at about $4.4 million with, then we had 650,000 of grant money to work with that. The estimate from PAR that we worked up just recently.
PAR is the engineering.
PAR is the engineering firm. Was about $3.4 million. So we're a little over as far as the construction cost of it, but with the price of materials and everything and the extent of the job. So I haven't looked at them yet. I'm going to grab them tomorrow, go through them, see what the big differences was in the bid pricing.
Yeah, there's a couple of $1 million difference.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a little different. So,
little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, we were kind of shocked as well when we heard them today.
So obviously this is a big project, and the council is interested to hear the outcomes in the next step, but it would just, we need to refer to the administrator.
Motion to refer to the town administrator to act in the best interest of the town
And the Harbor Commission.
and the harbor commissioner.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Yes, that was second.
Yeah, you missed a second on that one, right to Mary. Motion made by Tim, seconded by Tony. To refer to the administrator and the
Harbor master.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. This was a tremendous amount of work to get to this point. Hats off to all involved
Yes,
on this.
definitely.
Seriously.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item of business is K1, and this is Alan Klepper and from the Bristol County Water Authority, and this is the monthly report for August.
Motion to receive and file.
Second.
Motion and a second to receive and file. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. GG1, correct?
Yes.
GG3, right?
Oh, GG3.
Oh, did I write that
Oh,
wrong?
boy. GG3, yes.
Sorry, yes, GG3.
No big deal. We're not gonna hold it up for long, but it was just interesting to see how far along our flags have come, the restoration of the flags. It was quite interesting. So I think it's nice for folks to know that we did not lose them altogether. There was quite a bit of work that's going into the restoration of the flags, and it was very nice to see, an update report. So just
Agreed.
received and filed.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. It's your part of the show, Andy.
No, well, that's the administrative. Sorry, other than the administrator's request for executive session.
And that's where we're at.
Okay.
This is the part that you walk us into it with the pursuant to the Rhode Island general law.
A motion to go into executive session pursuant to Rhode Island general law 42-46-5A2 regarding litigation and specifically the national opioid litigation.
Very sing-song. Nice job.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And we'll be back after executive session. No.
Oh, okay. That's all right. Yeah.
Andy, if you would.
I would like to note for the record that no action was taken in executive session, and I would request a motion to seal the minutes.
So moved.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Just need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Anybody wants? All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Folks, don't leave. We need